could you tell me a little bit about your medical condition and how your medical condition came about?
So my medical condition is that I have a hole in my heart as a PDA. It was never closed when I was born. And so after not being diagnosed for 18 years, it started to affect the pressures in my heart because of my lungs. And what basically happens is because of the hole, there's pressure being shunted to the wrong side of the heart. So it's really big on the left side instead of the right side. So it caused pressures in my lungs. So basically when I'm breathing, the oxygen is not getting oxygenated to because it's the wrong side of the heart. So I'm basically not getting oxygen to my lungs, which then I'm not getting it to my brain. And so because the hole in my heart, because it was never closed, is why I'm like this.
Do you think, was this preventable? So had you had some treatment for this, could this have been avoided to this degree, or would you still have had complications?
No, it would have been solved. If I had had a surgery when I was 1 year old, I would have been just fine.
This obviously has an impact on the quality of your life. What are the things that you can't do because of this?
I can't really run. I'm very out of breath when I try to take, even just walking exhausts me. I miss a lot of school because of the site changes I have because, they get infected or I get sick very quickly because my immune system is very shot, so to say. So my life is very I'll go to school for a day and then I'll miss like a month of school. So.
What about what comes next in terms of your condition? What have doctors told you to expect?
Doctors have told me to expect a transplant sometime in the future, that it will be difficult, and that, it's not going to be, all butterflies and sunshine. They're going to be like, it's going to be hard, and you may not have a lot of life left after the transplant because your life will be, you'll still have symptoms of it, but it'll mostly be gone. They said my life would be short after that, not very long to live. So, which is fine, I expect it. But they said, we're going to have a double lung transplant, which will be very hard, and a heart transplant. But the numbers look really good for me, actually, for the transplant. So they're like, don't worry, you're in capable hands.
Do you know when you might get a transplant?
I don't know. They just said sometime in the future.
And why did you not get medical care for your heart condition when you were younger?
So my parents believe in a lot of conspiracy theories. They believe that the world's going to end, kind of. They believe in a lot of alternative medicine, kind of supplements, so to say. But because they never got me help, it was mostly because they had a fear of the government, so to say, and they just said, doctors are evil. Doctors kill more people than they help people. So my dad and my mom were just they rejected, any kinds of stuff like that. But, they also had, they used to pray over me, say, because, God's going to heal you, just have faith and all kinds of stuff. And it was just a mix of their faith with, prayer and the government. So to say, so both of those kind of created a fantasy in their head that, taking to a doctor would be worse. And so praying over me and giving me supplements would heal me, and it would solve a thing, with my sickness. So.
What did you think as this was going on? You probably didn't know any better. Maybe you thought this was normal, or did you think something unusual was going on?
Well, at first I thought it was normal because, living with my parents, crazy things are normal when other people, when they see it, they're like, oh my gosh, you're crazy. I'm like, yeah, I get that. But, no, and then I started to suspect things because my mom said I might have asthma. That's what we all called it because we didn't know any better. And I started to research a few years close to my 18th birthday, and I asked my friends who had asthma, I said, have you had these symptoms? What happens when you have asthma? And they told me, they're like, we don't have those symptoms. And so I started to suspect, I was like, there's something more wrong with me. And then the day before I started to go in, I collapsed on a bathroom floor and I couldn't move. My muscles just wouldn't let me get up. And I knew then, I was like, no, this is more serious. I need to get this checked out.
So at that point, you sought treatment yourself.
Yes.
How do you feel about your parents making decisions that have gotten you to this position?
I feel like because they didn't have a lot of good logic growing up, that, because their parents didn't fully let them understand the bigger picture, I guess. My parents just thought they could have 10 kids and everything would be okay. And I guess then their illogical, thoughts and illogical fantasy was that, we're doing the best we can, and there was no guilt because they thought, well, we've tried everything, and so we're good parents. And I guess that kind of allowed them to live without guilt because they were like, we're good parents, no one has to blame us because, we're doing everything where we're praying to God, we're eating supplements, and it kind of just grew with them that, because they had groups that they had people who convinced them that that was right and that, it was okay, they shouldn't have guilt. And so I guess when people supported their ideologies, my parents thought they were right.
And Mariah, try not to look at your sister.
Oh, sorry.
I know you're like,
Yeah.
am I doing okay? But
Right. It's very normal. It's the normal instinct. Thank you, Steve. Why do you want Idaho lawmakers to change the law?
Because there are other kids like me out there that I know personally who do not want to be associated with this, but I know that they would like to see the law changed for others so we don't, create the same history as our family had, because this has broken our family really bad. And it's created a lot of guilt, and I've seen how it, created stress between me and my parents, and now we don't have a relationship. And it's created problems with other siblings with my parents, and we don't want to see that happen. We want to see the law repealed so that kids, like me, can get the help they need and not have to suffer over and over. This doesn't have to happen.
Some of the lawmakers, of course, have resisted changing the law, saying people have a right. We can't infringe upon their religious rights. What would you say to them?
But you're also infringing upon the rights of those children who want to live. They have a right to live too.
What's your relationship? You said you have a broken relationship with your parents today. Do you ever contact them? When was the last?
Hold on just a second. Sorry. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Wondering what your relationship is with them today, if you are ever in contact with them.
I used to be in contact with them a few years after I moved, but every time I tried to bring up this conversation, they would not want to talk about it. They got really angry with me when I bring it up, and so I basically deleted them on Facebook and blocked them. Wow. So I don't have a relationship with them anymore.
Seems to me an apology would be something that someone in your condition would really want.
I do.
Okay.
Deal with. You're doing great, Mariah. Do you want some water?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Lemonade maybe, or lemonade?
No.
Was there Bumblebee in the room? I
I know, I heard
Where's
it.
Bumblebee?
I don't know what of it, but
It's that time of year with bumblebees.
yeah,
No.
the door open like that, yeah.
Okay, Merlin, thank you.
Wondering if your parents have ever given you any feedback, were sorry, or accepted responsibility, or what would you like to hear from them?
They've given me this I'm sorry thing, but their actions have completely said otherwise. Because, whenever, I'm around, they're like, oh, yeah, you just need, more tea or, more supplements. I'm just like, wait, how does sorry fix, with supplements and tea? That does not match your sorry to, you need a doctor, and that we should actually change our minds because it's more serious and they know it. And them trying to say, well, you just need to go see, a naturopath or try more vitamin C. It's like, no, it doesn't. Those two actions do not speak consistently with each other. No. I think their apology is a sarcastic, I'm sorry kind of thing. So, yeah.
Gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to add that I haven't asked you about?
No.
Okay. I'm guessing Molly Jo, you there?
Hey there, yeah. If you don't mind just a little more, I apologize, I can't hear everything 100% real well. You may have talked about this, but Mariah, if you could just sort of describe for us who don't understand your condition, just how it feels for you, what it's like for you living with what you have.
It's really difficult. Whenever I feel out of breath, it feels like I have a really like too much pressure in my head, and I feel like my body like aches, and I don't have a lot of energy after, and I just have to like take naps, and like whenever I'm at school, I'm out of breath. It just feels like my lungs burn because it's like I can't get the oxygen I need, and it just feels like when I'm walking, my feet start to hurt because there's edema in my feet, and it just feels like there's needles in my feet, and I'm just like, ow, like this hurts, this is wrong.
Thank you for describing that. That's helpful. I'm so sorry you have to deal with that. I guess the other thing I want to ask is just when it comes to how this has happened, I guess it's kind of two questions. Are you angry, or how do you feel sort of toward your parents? And I know you were maybe asked this for the Guardian article, but do you feel like they should be prosecuted or held legally accountable in a situation like this? And just sort of how angry are you about this?
I am angry.
Oh, start it over.
Sorry.
I am angry, but I also feel that in a way that my parents are suffering too, because you know they don't get to see their grandchildren because some of my siblings have unfortunately chosen to come support me. My parents don't support that, and so some of my siblings would rather not talk to my parents anymore and completely break ties with them, which then breaks the family apart because we feel that like if they support me, then they have to choose not to talk to my parents, which is hurtful to everybody to see that and have to deal with that.
Do you feel this is a situation where they should have been prosecuted, or that just someone should have interfered? What do you think in your situation should have been done?
Diane, look right at Diane.
I think that they should have been held accountable, and someone should have intervened also. But I think that's past in the past, and I think it's time to prosecute them.